99.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome to the Big Hard Facts. Today, Thursday, the 31st of July 2025. Now, I want to talk about something that's been bothering me weeks upon weeks upon weeks. I started talking about it on Monday and I talked about it briefly yesterday, but today I'm going to do full justice to it. In 2023, Nigerians didn't just vote, they fought. Not just with ballots, but with identity, with tribe, and hate was sprinkled in it. Now, that hate didn't die after the elections. It festered, it mutated, and it's spreading. It's showing up on street signs, in tweets, and even in state policies. And even in, this thing that I don't know how to pronounce it well. Someone tried to help me to pronounce it yesterday. From Yoruba slogans to digital tribal profiling. And where is it biggest? Is here in Lagos. So is Lagos becoming a battleground of sorts for a quiet ethnic war, or? And how do we really begin to battle it and stop it from becoming a situation in Rwanda? My guest is joining me. He's a civil society advocate. He sits with ACT Network. He's my very good friend who's abandoned me for months and months, but I dragged him here because he never says no to me. Segun Sopitan is here with me in the studio. It's so good to have you join us. Ekujo Metal. It's okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when I say Ojo Kokwedu, obvious that you understood.
Yes, I did. Yes.
And you have decided to drag me in public.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. That's what friends do. It's good to see you, Segun. I started that opening that way because it does have an antecedent. We didn't just wake up one day and started hating one another. And you are my friend. You and I are not from the same part of the country, but you are my friend. But I want to not just talk about what has happened in Nigeria and how we have called some people Okoro and some people, in my language, we even have a term for Yorubas and Hausas and Igbos. We all know how this started, but let's mostly talk about how this has become a big issue in 2025. The ethnic profiling during the 2023 elections. Verified reports from Channels Television, Arise News, and Sahara Reporters confirmed then that there was targeted voter suppression and intimidation in parts of Lagos, especially against Igbo residents. Also, the Yoruba, which you will pronounce properly for me, became an ethnic, rallying cry, used both as a call for ethnic unity and increasingly to justify political exclusion. We also saw that several public figures and online influencers openly suggested that Igbos were guests in Lagos and should not determine electoral outcomes. So let me ask you, how did we get here? How did we allow for ethnicity and the things that make us different, that is supposed to unite us, become a problem that is festering?
Okay, so it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Maryann, it's not an accident and it's not a coincidence what we are witnessing today. It's deliberately programmed and prepared, planned, to achieve the exact end that it is achieving as we speak, which is political in nature. You have to go all the way back to the pre-independence and then post-independence Nigeria, especially between 1960 and 1963, and then between 63 and 66, and the events that led up to the civil, right? And without necessarily going into chronicles, and history lessons, we all know, I think majority of your listeners are really enlightened enough to know, the major events that led to the Civil War and how we're here today. The first thing that I think we have failed to do as a country, and that our political leadership has consistently failed to do after usually these things exacerbate during elections. And the biggest thing that we failed to do after the Civil War is that we failed to pursue genuine reconciliation, genuine one, right? That allows the legitimate pains that were experienced by actors on both sides of the divide to heal, right? We have tried to deny the history. We have tried, so we have people who are trying to narrate what happened from their perspective, rather than trying to find out maybe what is your truth and what is my truth, and how has that truth shaped the way we are today and how we behave as a people, especially towards each other. We have not gone through that process. And I, I've always been bold to say that until we do, we may never really get to the bottom of this matter, and we may never really have a united Nigeria, right? So you have a situation today where the overriding sentiment between the three major tribes, because that's usually where these things happen, is very typical, very stereotypical. You have the average Hausa person, bearing almost violent hatred towards the average Igbo person. And you've got the average Igbo person looking at the average Yoruba person as a traitor. So that's the narrative that we've painted and that we've carried over the years. And it's kind of escalated slowly until we've gotten to where we are today, where this thing is a potential pandemic that can consume the country. Now, having said that, so there's that, and there's the role that leadership needs to play to fix that. But having said that, I think it's also important to note that much of these things that I just said are politically motivated and politically driven. And like you say, and like you just said now, you are from not south, and I'm southwest. I'm a Yoruba man. We're friends. My best friend from, sometimes when I tell the story of this gentleman, he's a very senior person in security services today. When I tell the story of our friendship, people are shocked because I've known him since I was like 15 years old. He's from Kogi State, he's a Bira. Himself and my children are tight pals. Himself and my wife, tight pals. His wife and my wife, tight pals. And he's not Yoruba, right? I am not married to a Yoruba woman. And this is how it is. I've got a lot of very close friends that are Igbo. I have a few that are Hausa speaking or even Hausa, and this is the truth and the reality for most Nigerians. We're good people, we're good natured, we're welcoming, we're accommodating, we're friendly, foreigners come into this country and they attest to this every time. So how is it that this same thing that I just said now is true, running parallel, concurrent to very deep-rooted, violent hatred in our public national discussions? So you see, this hatred tends to emerge when we talk politics. But the moment you devolve the conversation down to the personal level, and people are just, interacting one-on-one as human beings, those hatreds tend to disappear. Right? So I think we need to really make sure that we keep those two narratives running concurrently and find out what's driving the other one. Why is it that we appear to hate each other when we also appear to love ourselves at the same time? It's a bit of a contradiction.
It's interesting that, let's talk about the post-election tribal narratives, and this is not just to make the Yoruba people look bad, because the Igbo people are also part of this problem. So are the Hauses and several other, but the major tribes are the ones who are at war. So it's not like we're trying to make one person look bad here. This conversation goes across to everyone. Now, post-election, of course, we've seen recently the renaming of Charlie Boy bus stop to Olamide, which for many people, they view it as a symbolic erasure, interpreted by many as an ethnic statement rather than a neutral act of urban rebranding. Okay. On social media, there are handles I'm going to call out now. Lagos for Tinubu is a handle on X that is always pushing this, ethnic narrative, insulting the sensibilities of other people. I've had people tell me here on this show that I'm not from Lagos. I should go back to where I'm from. Why are you coming to talk about? If your state is clean, go and stay there now. Lagos is not smelling. There's a very famous person who I know, who's my friend, Kem, Her handle also pushes those kinds of narratives. We have Saki Money. There's so many of them. They push that Yoruba first ideology, which is not a bad thing in itself. It's okay to prioritize your people, but in what context? Now, I want to take you to, I'm sure that you know the Rwandan story, where in 1994, Rwanda, had the genocide. It began with years of ethnic propaganda on radio. At the time, there was no social media for them to, push that. So it started on the radio and then in the print, and it dehumanized a group of people called the Tutsis. Now, in Nigeria, the recent rhetoric, particularly the go back to your state or Yoruba land is no man's land narrative, which the people on the other side are saying is no man's land, which I find, funny. There are people who live and own this land. Yes, it is a melting pot, but here. So it also mirrors what has happened in or led to what happened in Rwanda. But when we talk about these things, it seems far-fetched. We seem to shrug it off. Let's leave the politicians out of this, because for I want to use the word loosely here. They probably are not interested. But what about the leaders of thought, the preachers, the elders, the people who should know better, people who we look up to in society? And I'm talking about Igbo leaders, Yoruba leaders, and northern leaders. What role should they be playing in quelling these tensions? Because you have said, for the politician, is because it's a means to an end, and after that they don't care what happens. Where should these leaders of thought come in?
I honestly think, Maryann, that the role that those people that you speak about have to play, and the role that everybody that has some sort of a voice and platform in this society has to play, is the one where we're calling the politicians to order, because they are the ones that are driving this. Honestly, this problem is contrived. It's not real. I don't think that at the bottom of the heart of the average Yoruba, let's even leave the middle class, well-educated, well-traveled, elite Yoruba or Hausa person, let's go down to the area boy, right? I do not for the life of me think that the average area boy out there hates the average Igbo person next to him, maybe the average spare part seller, right, next to him. I don't think they hate each other. They're friends, right? So at the end of the day, these things are contrived and they're being manipulated for political end. So what I think we need to do as a society to fix this is for those people that you speak about, because you are right, they do wield a lot of influence in terms of, driving national discussion, the national narrative, programming behavior. When you talk about, religious leadership, whether Christians or Muslims or any other, religious inclination or faith, the leaders in those spheres actually direct how people behave. They preach to them every week, sometimes multiple times every week. And if you look at that, the impact and the result of that over a 10-year period of consistent messaging, behaviors change. Right, so these people that you speak about do control the narrative with regards to how we behave as people, and I think those people are the ones maybe that need to be more direct and bolder in calling out our political leadership, to do better. For example, I would want to use this platform. I speak on TV a lot. I've got a podcast. You speak on radio, you speak on TV, you're a public figure. We need to let the president know, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, know that his handlers and the people around him and his appointees and his supporters must do better. He has to know that this is a problem that can consume all of us, right? So that's what I think people with influence and with platform need to be doing. We need to be speaking truth to power and letting the political actors know that deliberately stoking hatred might serve your immediate end in terms of gaining office, public office, and access to the treasury. But, what shall it profit a man to gain 4 years of political office where he can steal, only for him to lose his entire country, bringing the specter of Rwanda, to play in this conversation? If we continue this way, And it's scary. When you read what happens on social media, Maryann, it's disturbing how every single conversation narrows down.
Oh dear. Are you still there, Segun? I think that we got a little interruption there, connection-wise. We lost you for a second, Segun.
It's ridiculous, So I think we've got to do better. Trying to I don't know. I won't say compel, but to encourage our political leadership to fix this narrative and stop stoking the embers of hatred amongst ordinary Nigerians.
I mean, we're quick to see bills that are passed about online bullying and etc., but then none of them seems to hold power when it comes to what we're seeing as rising tensions on social media. We've seen several of these Twitter handles spreading hate, whether it's for or against. We're seeing it. As a Yoruba civil society actor, what responsibility do we as ethnic majority voices have in checking, these dangerous narratives from within our groups? As much as we're saying that, we need to call the government, what about us? Do we not owe ourselves a responsibility to stop it? I don't belong to the major tribes. We're just a tiny drop in the ocean when it comes to tribes. But I'm talking about the Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba tribes. The people themselves, the people who have, for example, seen the Civil War and experienced it or lived through it, how come they're very quiet about this? They all might not be on social media, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the body language, in the rhetorics of political actors. How come we're not one way or the other trying to also pull our weight in that direction?
I'm sorry, I missed a bit of that. I think there was a bit of a network interruption.
Okay, but did you hear the last part? Because it's the same thing I said.
I heard how come. I just heard how come.
I was saying that the major tribes, the major voices and the different, tribes, which is the Igbo, Hausa, as human beings, I'm not talking about leaders now. What must we do, in checking this dangerous rise and trend of, if you do something, I'm not going to say what you've done is wrong. I'd say, you're doing it because that's how Igbo people behave. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay.
There's only one destination to go to for your Geely vehicle service now, and that's the new representative, Kuscharis Motors. Geely has found a new home. If you've had your Geely vehicle for 3 years or more, we would like to invite you to continue the thrill with Kuscharis Motors. Book your service at Kuscharis Motors to experience a more professional after-sales by certified Geely technicians. For appointment booking, call or WhatsApp 0802-772-5779. Kuscharis Motors, value for money.
I'm in love. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop? And is it to stir?
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
What can your bank do for you?
Meet Jane, 25 years old. She's been having troubles acquiring a loan from her bank.
This is not okay at all. I've been on this queue forever, and you're saying I should fill another form. What's going on?
What can your bank do for you?
Meet Frank, 27 years old, held up in traffic and making fruitless transactions.
Mama, I have saved the airtime, even the electricity charges. I don't know why it's so difficult making this payment.
Introducing Safri, a lifestyle digital bank that's designed just for you. With one click, you can make easy and fast payment transactions, pay bills, and even acquire easy loans. Hurry and download the Safri app on your Play Store. Visit safrisafri.com for more information. Safri, borderless banking.
Start your day and have a good time. Kivo Creamer. Where you need to have the break time. Kivo Creamer. If not tea, Papa Garita. Kivo Creamer. Kivo Creamer.
New Lafarge water shield cement not confirm. Oh, welcome, sir. Sir, we are set to begin the foundation.
Everything set?
Everything, sir. We have the estimates for the granite, the sand, the iron rods, the concrete blocks, the cement, the...
Wait, engineer. What cement are you planning to use?
Oh, the normal cement, sir.
The normal cement?
Yes, sir.
You know the area is waterlogged and you say normal cement? Have you not heard of Water Shield? The new waterproof cement by Lafarge, designed to protect buildings from water damage and water damage to your property. If you're building in a waterlogged area, then your best bet is the new Water Shield cement by Lafarge. Water Shield is the waterproof, high-strength cement expertly formulated for all interior and external use in waterlogged areas.
New Lafarge waterproof cement that confirm.
And water damage to your property.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics to help your child's digestion and development, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. And all of these work together to support your child's development and growth today and tomorrow. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Every day when my children return from school, I don't recognize them. Hello, do I know you?
It's us, Mommy.
But these dirty, sweaty uniforms and socks, we're clean in the morning. Everything don't transform. I understand though, school is hectic. It takes energy to come home this transformed. So I make sure they have some nutritious Milo at breakfast.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo. In the kitchen game, there are players and then Agba Ballers, MVP, Player of the Year, 10-0, no rival. Become an Agba Baller with the new improved Maggi chicken flavor, made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric to bring out your top game in the kitchen. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor, my game changer.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet of Cerelac Junior comes with the nutrition they need: natural grains, protein, and iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
Finally.
Finally what?
I've been trying to reach your phone for days.
Oh, so sorry. Telecommunication services have been very poor in my area lately. Some hoodlums vandalized the telecoms masts around here.
They tried it in my area, but guess what? Our people now protect the mast as if our lives depend on it.
Wise move. I must tell my husband to raise the issue at our community meeting so that we too can protect all our telecom masts.
Exactly. You see, when telecom masts and fiber cables are destroyed, every area of our life, from education to healthcare to banking operations and the entire economy, is affected. Vandalizing telecommunications infrastructure harms everyone. Dial 622 from any network or send an email to protect@ncc.gov.ng to report suspected cases of vandalism. This message is brought to you by mobile network operators and towercos in collaboration with the Nigerian Communications Commission.
See, everybody with him own wahala. Every day comes with its own version of challenges, and you have to be ready to face them, because only then can you move on to the next. That's why I never miss my breakfast. Scratch that. My peak breakfast, with the nutrients and energy I need to face each day, one challenge at a time.
Every day is a good day to power on with a peak breakfast. Have you had yours?
Peak. Reach for your peak.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hatfact.
Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
If you are just joining us, we're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. We're talking about, squashing that whole ethnic war that's brewing right now, not just on social media, but it's spreading, it's festering. And of course, we all know that Nigerians are divided along ethnic and religious lines, but those lines have now become really, really big, like a gulf between us. And every single day or every single time we get ready for the polls, that's when the politicians remember that we're not the same people, that we're divided. Oh, this one is Igbo, that one is Hausa, this one is Yoruba. This one is Sokoro. No. Or this one is Calabar. This Calabar people. Oh. But then when they're sharing monies, when they are standing on mandates, they all forget about all that. But when it comes down to you understanding what your mandate is and speaking truth to power, then they remember that we're divided. But they're not doing it alone. They've recruited some of us, our brothers and our sisters, our friends, our family members, to push this narrative. How do we take a step back from it so we don't end up like Rwanda? My guest is Segun Sopitan, who I've now been able to pronounce his name without stuttering. He has been trying to help us make sense of it. And Segun, my question before we went on the break was, how do we ourselves consciously remove ourselves from this equation? Maybe many people might not know that they are tools in the hands of politicians or political actors, but how do we step away from this, not for just our sakes, but the sakes of the generations that are coming after us?
Yeah, and it's a very important point that you make. At the end of the day, if you really check all society, the people that drive the conversation, the narrative, people that influence outcomes and how things generally tend to go in most societies are people like you and I, middle class, educated. Every single person that's been to university and has a good job, or you've not been to university or polytechnic, some higher institution, but you have a good job, you have some level of comfort, you probably influence anything between 10 to 30 people around you, people who listen to you because of what you are to them. Right, so those people are people that must be intentional, be deliberate in pushing back against this narrative, because we know that our problem is not our Igbo neighbor, is not our ethnic neighbor, is not our Ibibio neighbor. That our problem is not our Kalabari neighbor, or our Hausa, Fulani, whatever the tribe might be, but that our problem is governance and leadership. So we have to be intentional and deliberate, because we know we're aware, we're conscious, we're awake, if you like, woke, as they say, to these issues. And we should help those people who we have influence over to do better, to recognize the same truths, and remove themselves from the hatred. Because at the end of the day, look, let's think about it. And that's where, we've got to remind these guys. After the elections, the area boys that went around polling units in 2023 in Okota, in Isolo, in Ajao Estate, in some parts of Lekki, preventing Igbo people from voting. How's their life now? How are they doing? Are things better for them? Have they been able to, transition from the poverty and the lack that they existed in 2023? Are they richer now? Can they feed? Can they send their children to school for the ones that have children? Have they gone to school themselves? So if we're able to paint this picture to them and get them to see that your lot is no better than it was when you did this thing, maybe we can begin to get them to understand that they're just tools in the hands of these guys whose interest is not their own interest. And again, I think that for a lot of the other ethnic groups, because that's also an important point that you raised, people tend to herd in the direction of these narratives, and even when they are not Igbo people and they're not Yoruba, and they're not necessarily direct targets of the hatred, they find themselves aligning anyway. So you find, for example, objectionable statements like the gentleman, the APC chairman, I don't know if I should call him a gentleman, in Edo State, who says on national TV, unabashedly, unapologetically, that he hates Peter Obi. On national TV. That type of behavior and that type of conduct has to be a no-no. And people like you and I, people like those listening to you now, must be able to express outrage when this type of behavior happens, even when you are not a direct victim of the hatred. If you are not a direct victim, one day it will be your turn. Like they say, they came for the Jews, they came for the Catholics, they came for, and so on and so forth, until the day they came for me, and then there was nobody to fight for me. So I think we've got to be a bit more conscious and intentional in pushing back against these narratives.
I see the National Orientation Agency has some advertorials on TV, respect people's culture, each other's culture, one Nigeria, all fine and dandy. But will this advertorial run during elections? And will the National Orientation Agency be present at all political campaigns across the country, reminding them of that narrative in their PSA every other day? I've never heard it on the radio, and I hope that the National Orientation Agency will come and put it on the radio so that it will be in different languages. Because it's one thing to project a narrative, but then in your political outfits, you are doing the total opposite of that narrative that you're pushing on television. This is what I thought the first time I saw it. I said, this is a beautiful idea. But the same politicians will go on a campaign ground and say all kinds of things and call the names of different ethnicities or push a certain narrative that makes other ethnicities feel left out. So, who holds that sacred duty? Is it the NOA? Is it you, civil society? Is it we, the media? Who holds that sacred, and who's going to hold them to account? For example, I remember in 2013 or 2015, in River State, when Amechi was a minister, and he picked up a machete at a campaign ground and made some very dastardly statements that stoked tensions, whether we agree or not, in River State that was already a boiling state. And they got away with it because they were in government. It was the APC. And I'm thinking that if we were other parties that came up with this same narrative, I'm not saying that the other parties are saints, they do the same thing. Who holds the gavel or the rod that is supposed to strike when these kinds of statements are made to apprehend people, especially these politicians?
The answer is actually very simple, Maryann, but it's a difficult route, and a lot of people don't like going there because they want to be politically correct. They don't want to, rustle feathers. They don't want to offend sensibilities. Unfortunately for me, I'm not one of such people. I say my mind as it is, and people can do whatever they want to do with that. John C. Maxwell, the American author and leadership authority globally, said that it's a maxim that I hold so true and dear because I found it to be true, that everything, and I always like to emphasize that word, everything, in its totality rises or falls on leadership. You just can't escape. You can't escape this reality, this truism, and this truth. When your rallying call, when your dog whistle as your statement of overall intent for a campaign is ethnic in its very nature, then we have a problem on our hands. When the current president of the country, starts out his campaigns by declaring very boldly, Maryann Okon, it is my turn. Then he followed it up with Awa Lokon, it is our turn. And the we that he was referring to, Awa means we in Yoruba, and the we that he was referring to was his ethnic group. And he's saying, the stake that he has to the throne, to the highest office in the land, is that it's his turn. It's a turn-by-turn thing, and it is the turn of his tribe. You see, from that moment, we went down into a spiral that it's very difficult. The only person that can hold everybody accountable and call them back to order is the president. And so far, he has refused to do that. He's refused to acknowledge that there is even a problem. I guess he doesn't see it as a problem. The fact, that his principal spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, drives this ethnic narrative and hatred, again, unapologetically, even in official, you imagine how painful it is to read official statements of the federal government of Nigeria, and that statement is filled with tribal bigotry and hatred towards a particular tribe just because the major candidate and the person that they see as a major opposition figure is from that tribe. Then you see where the problem is. So the answer to your question is, it's the president. The president needs to be told that he has to do better. His stake to office must be his capacity, character, and ability to perform and deliver good governance to the people, not where he's from, and not the disparaging of an opposition figure that is from somewhere else. The president has to do better. It's the president that will tell the NOA, no, let's leave this and do this. And then, beyond the messaging from the NOA, his appointments, his utterances, being less political, being more statesmanly, and being more fatherly, will speak to the entire nation, and everybody will align.
But there are those who will say that, why should the state manliness start with Tinubu? There was a Buhari who did the same exact thing. Why did the walls not come down? Why must it be a Tinubu that would set the record straight?
I agree with you. And that is the unfortunate truth, that this has now become our reality and our practice. It's just simply like the standard. Even President Jonathan, that a lot of people love today, because we're seeing far worse. in his time, he was the worst.
He was the most insulted. He was the most insulted president.
He was the most insulted. Today he's a hero, right? Even he, inadvertently, as much as a gentleman as he was, and as much as he tried to move away from these ethnic issues, but if you look at the appointment and if you look at the mood in Abuja at that time, people wore Niger Delta, that fabric or style, that we call Niger Delta today. It became the official uniform in Abuja, the way Babariga became the official uniform in Abuja under Buhari, and it's Agbada with the infinity cap today. So you're right. It would be unfair to put this squarely and only at the foot of this president. Mm-hmm. It's a precedent that started before him, and that was almost honed to perfection by the late president, Muhammad Buhari. But, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, because it takes 20 years for it to grow. The next best time, as the Chinese people will say, is
now.
Today.
Yeah, it's right now.
So now, it's now. So now the man at the seat is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a man that his supporters say is visionary. They say he's a master strategist, right? Can he not see the visionary nature that he has? Can it not see the danger and the harm in driving this ethnic narrative? He doesn't care. My opinion and my view is that he's not interested in the potential consequences, ill consequences, as long as his interests are served. So I will not shy away from saying it on national radio, as it were today, that Mr. President, you need to do better. You have to play a politics that shows you as a statesman, and that leans heavily on your impact on the ordinary Nigerian as your stake and your claim to power, and as your stake to the next term in office of 4 years, rather than this divisive narrative that we're allowing to fester and go out of control, which may and will consume all of us if we don't do something about it.
Lovely. Lagos, I want to open up the phone lines. Let's talk Are we a huge part of the problem, whether you keep quiet about it or whether you speak about it, whether you try in a way to defend your own tribe against this tribe and it makes it a war between them and us, or you are one of those who says, I believe in a united Nigeria and I do not support this kind of behavior. Let's all talk. It's a family meeting of sorts for about 7 minutes. 0201-277-0993, 0201-465-7190. You can join the conversation. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. Post your comments on our live stream. 30 seconds each. Let's go straight to the point because we don't have time and I want to hear everyone. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Mrs. Olawale from Aja.
30 seconds, Mrs. Olawale. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to commend your guest. We have to speak truth to power. It's not everyone that is involved in these shenanigans, this evil that is about to explode in our faces. The president should step in. It is an APC agenda. You should call a spade a spade. Not every Yoruba is involved in this thing. They shouldn't set us against our brothers in the north or our brothers in the east. We should stand up and speak against it. It is evil.
All right.
It is evil, please. It is
Thank you, Ms. Olawale. Thank you. 30 seconds. Please go straight to the point. Hello.
Hi, Maryann. Good evening to you and your guests.
Yes, good evening.
Oga Sopitan, thank you for speaking from a no-hold-back perspective this evening. See, our leaders will not pursue the desired peace because they rule us by this divide and conquer seed of discord they've sown amongst us. For me, this Yoruba Ronu saying is simply fanning the embers of bigotry. The hate you give, talk life, has almost turned all Nigerians to talks and has further divided us all among ethnic lines and giving rise to the bias and the hate we feel for one another. Growing up, I used to be told...
I'm sorry, Ms. Zoboli, I have to let you go. 30 seconds is over. Everybody has 30 seconds. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening, Maryann.
Good evening.
It's Maryann speaking to you from Ekpe.
Go ahead.
I don't know. There has to be some institution we should report some things to. For instance, somebody shared the post. The name is Wale Adedayo. It's a name you must have had. He's a former LGA chairman that was disgraced out of office in Ogun State. If that post was saying how a Yoruba man should not marry from the Igbo tribe, that the Igbos are animals. And I was like, what? What is this kind of things, in this country? So these things need to be checked because it's a time bomb, waiting to explode right in our faces.
All right.
And people who do these things, it's lack of home training, and a societal training.
All right. Thank you very much. 30 seconds is all you have. WhatsApp callers, I will come to you. Just give me a few minutes. We will come to you. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Maryann, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, okay. You have good proof calling from Akaribo Road in Shagamu.
30 seconds.
Okay, yeah. My question is, you have asked him all the questions. 2013, Nigeria won the Nations Cup under Keshi. There was no Yoruba person on that squad.
True.
And nobody said anything. Everybody was peaceful. Last 2 years, when they appointed Eguavon to be the interim manager of Super Eagles, somebody called your station. Someone was in charge that day. I was saying, why did they give it to another Igbo person? Someone was telling the person, Eguavon is not Igbo. Eguavon is from Edo. If the person did not even want to hear, he was just saying, all the time, Igbo, coach. Please, I want to ask, because most of the team,
your time is up.
Most of these illiterates that are always taking this thing far. How are they doing to make sure that?
All right. I don't want to believe that it's just people who are ignorant or illiterate. Like I said, most of the people who we've seen pushing these narratives are people who are well aware of what they're doing. And I was speaking with Rugged Man yesterday and he said nobody's doing what they're doing right now out of ignorance. They know what they're doing. Some of them are paid to do what they're doing, to push those narratives online. And of course, his question is, how do we educate them? I think that's one of the ways we're doing that is what the conversation we're having here. But I want to take one more. Now, my WhatsApp callers, you can go ahead and call me because I want to leave the last 2 minutes to Segun to wrap things up. So call me, WhatsApp callers, 08095975805. Go ahead and call me right now, 08095975805. I want to only take WhatsApp calls right now. 30 seconds each. Please, when you call me, go straight to the point. WhatsApp callers, I'm ready for you now. So if you don't call me, you're going to miss your turn, and I'll move on to other things. All right. Here's a WhatsApp call. Hello. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Maryann. My name is Prince Isaiah from Surulere.
30 seconds. You're calling from Surulere. No. I don't take WhatsApp calls from people in Nigeria. Please do not take up the space for our diaspora callers. No. Please. Only our diaspora callers are allowed to call on WhatsApp. So if you are calling from the diaspora, go ahead and call me right now. Uche is calling me from England. Uche, you have 30 seconds. Hello? Go ahead.
Yeah, Maryann, good afternoon. My name is Uche. We're talking about this topic yesterday, and funny enough, we're talking about it again today. Now, I've listened to your guest. He spoke eloquently well, and I agree with most of the things he has said. But unfortunately, we all shy away from the truth. Look, Maryann, I will say it, and I will say it.
10 seconds.
The horse has bolted. The horse bolted a long time ago. This thing is not just done by politicians. It has eaten into the fabrics of the mainstream Nigeria. We can't continue to deceive ourselves.
All right.
That's just the truth. And unfortunately, we don't want to accept the fact that we can coexist separately and live in peace and harmony. We don't have to be stuck together.
All right. Thank you very much, Uche. Segun, I have just 1 minute for you to analyze everything that we've said in closing.
Well, listening to Nigerians, you realize that the Nigerians that listen to your show, that demographic, they know the truth. So we've got to just try to do better as a people. Like I said before, we influence the rest of society, really, and that's why the elite consensus it's impossible for any nation to develop without an elite consensus that is driven towards development, where we deliberately say to ourselves, we will drive this country forward, and this is where we're going. It's tempting to want to say we should legislate against political hatred. There was what was it called? This hate speech bill that was attempted to be floated at the national. In fact, it was floated, but Nigerians resisted it. It's tempting to want to legislate, but this is not something that we can legislate. This is something that we just simply have to call out the people that are responsible for it. You cannot solve a problem without going to its root cause. And today, the root cause of this problem are political actors. Mr. President, please do better.
Segun Sopitan, always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. I want to thank you for coming on the show with us today. Segun Sopitan is a civil society advocate. He's also the chairman of Accountability, Candour and Transparency Network Act. Thank you so much, Segun, for coming on the show. And Lagos, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
For talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
There's only one destination to go to for your Geely vehicle service now, and that's the new representative, Charis Motors. Geely has found a new home.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens.